Welcome to Between Over and Next with your hosts, Holli and Robert, a happily married couple who explore the space between what was, what is, and what's to come. From career changes to navigating life's uncertainties, this dynamic duo will empower you to live your happiest life at every age and stage. So, get ready because your journey with Holli and Robert starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Between Over and Next. Hi, Holli.
Hi, Robert. When we recorded episode 3 at the very beginning of releasing Between Over and Next, we actually recorded an episode dedicated to discussing the meaning of Between Over and Next and each of those words. And since then, I have continuously thought of the meaning of how it impacts our lives every day. Because there are so many Between Over and Next moments.
Without a doubt.
So today's episode is about Between Over and Next moments, but with a different theme. It's a metaphor. Do you know what a metaphor is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's something that stands for something else, kind of a substitute for something.
And there are so many metaphors in life. It's a thing regarded as representative or symbolic of something else, especially something that's abstract. So today's episode is called The Traffic Lights of Life. So, Robert,
Yes.
what do you think of when you think about traffic lights?
Well, I think that there are far too many traffic lights. But other than that, it's something that we live with when you teach children. Certainly in nursery school and kindergarten, I think children know what the colors on a traffic light mean. I think it's one of the first things, symbolic things, that children are taught.
Well, as an adult, I think about the red, the yellow, and the green as Between Over Next moments. Mm-hmm. And what I mean is, in life, just as on the road, signals show us when it's time to shift our approach, to stop, to slow down, or go. And these moments become the true Between Over Next transitions that shape our paths forward. And each light color signifies an empowering message, because I really do believe that life's signals are the opportunities that are set before us. And I would like to unpack the lights of our lives and connect them to our Between Over and Next messaging. And that is about life's transitions, the shifts, the pivots, the decisions, the choices, the past, the present, the future. So I'm definitely going to include a link to episode 3 because we have evolved.
That was 40 episodes ago.
How exciting is that? We've had signals along the way in our careers, in our personal lives. And I want to talk about that. And I want you listening or watching to think about what we are referencing when we talk about the traffic lights of our life.
Do you think that the people who ignore traffic lights in general also ignore the metaphorical traffic lights of their lives?
That is a thought-provoking question.
I'll bet you there's some correlation.
Well, I think there are a lot of people that like to break rules.
Right. I'm going to turn left at our red light outside our development one of these days because sometimes there's just no cars and I'm sitting and waiting at the red light. So
Well, it's not a stop sign.
I guess
it's
I
a red
shouldn't tell
light.
people I'm going to do that.
Interestingly enough, the lights change and they change at different paces. Sometimes you get a quick green or yellow or red.
If you want to get technical, sometimes they're the same all the time. There are some intersections that are just timed intersections, and the red light and green light stays on for a set amount of time. And there are others where the signals change based on the flow of traffic and how busy the intersection may be. I think that's a real metaphor in life, because sometimes the signals that we get are signals that are generated because of what's going on around us. And sometimes the signals come at kind of predetermined points in our life.
I'm a very literal person.
Literally.
And we are really talking more outside the lines regarding the metaphor, not being as literal, right? The abstract is the opposite of literal. So
Yes.
I have done some deep thinking about this topic today, because to us, the red light is the overstage, the yellow light's the in-between stage, and the green light is the next stage. So let's discuss a little bit about that. The red light as the overstage. It is about the power of pausing. We did talk about that in episode 40. I'll have a link in the show notes. And it was called Slow Down, Reflect, and Rise, the gift of life's pauses. The stop signal is a moment when we're forced to stop, whether by choice or circumstance. So that can mean a relationship ends, a job winds down, or a new challenge arises. Stop moments provide time to rethink direction and purpose. And it is definitely a potential to restart. It is a time to reflect on what's behind us, to recognize what's over, and prepare to let go or recalibrate for what's next. So it really is about looking at the shifts and an opportunity to start fresh. So what do you think about that?
I agree with that, but I think that the yellow light has a lot of components to it. I was just thinking about being in driver's ed. One of the things that my driver's ed teacher talked about was the stale yellow and the fresh yellow. So when you're driving, the in-between should always be less time than the red or the green. You shouldn't remain in that slow down mode, right? Which is what it is. Because I think moving on to the next is what the goal is. So when you approach a yellow light, you've either seen that yellow light change or you notice the yellow light. If you notice the yellow light, that's a stale yellow light. You don't know how long that yellow light will be because you didn't see it change yellow. A fresh yellow light is a yellow light that you see change. So you see that slow down ahead of you and you can prepare for it. Whereas for a stale yellow light that you don't see change yellow, you don't know the moment it'll turn red. So you have to be more prepared to stop. So I think in life, that in-between moment can be a fresh moment or a stale moment. And I think that determines how you approach it.
Actually, I like that. I think that's an original concept that I've never heard before. And I take traffic light signals very seriously.
Well, we talked about this. There are types of people that seeing that yellow light,
Speed up.
right, forces them to press down on the accelerator. And for other people, they'll decide to hit the brake. So why is that? Who is that person? Or what is that circumstance?
I think that's something we need to ask a pool of people to figure out the why they slow down or speed up. There's a lot that can happen in that in-between moment, for good or not. So this stage is probably the most uncertain.
And most critical. 'Cause
Yes.
it determines you're stepping into the next stage.
Right.
Because
So-
you're on a path.
So you're not leaving the past, you're not embracing the future, but in this in-between moment, based on even what you just said, is we're gaining clarity right? And it's an opportunity to redefine your purpose and build momentum for the next phase. But if you don't stop, slow down, you don't know what can happen next.
But also, if you think about it, depending on the depth of the decision, right, that this traffic light represents, determines the road there, right? Because you can take a trip and avoid all traffic lights. If you stay on the highway, you won't encounter very many traffic lights where you would have to slow down or stop.
No, you just be in go. You just
Just
be
go.
moving forward. So I think the yellow light, the in-between stage, is the opportunity to embrace patience, to stay ready to step forward when the signal shifts. And it's also an opportunity to proceed with caution. And it gives you time to stop, to reflect, to think, to move carefully, to process, to gain insights before accelerating forward. But something I want to say about something that happened in a red light moment, because I was thinking about something that impacted us during a red phase and supporting each other during a red phase. Mm-hmm. And that means when something feels like an end, it could be a new beginning. And that happened when we were planning Cannabis.
Yes.
Tell everyone what happened.
Well, we were 13 or 14 months into Cannabis, which was an in-person experiential event, when then COVID hit, and then everything stopped. And what was a very touchy-feely tasting, smelling, up close and personal, food tastings, all of that suddenly went away.
I was thinking about actually how we had to postpone our first event. So it's interesting. You were thinking about after producing 13 events, and I was thinking about the very first event because we had so many red light moments because that bill was not passed.
What?
We postponed the launch of the first Canna pop-up, and we had to keep making decisions to change it based on the comfort level of what was going on in the cannabis space at the time.
That's very true. That's very true. I was thinking of it in totality.
But COVID was a red light moment. We were just talking about it yesterday, how it seems like so long ago, and yet we remember every part of it.
Yes.
And we definitely had a renewed way of thinking moving forward with everything we do because of that red light moment, which I didn't even think of when I was preparing the notes for this episode.
Yeah.
So talking about the green light, the next, it is your invitation to move forward. And it means to embrace those go moments, step out of the familiar and embrace what's possible, moving toward new goals, experiences, and maybe even new versions of yourself. And trust the direction. Be willing to pivot, be open to detours, be prepared for surprises and new paths. Green lights. They encourage bold action, not without some preparation for life's curveballs. You need to lean into go moments. Stay grounded in purpose and open to shifts along the journey. It's that moment we've been building toward. And though it may require courage, it's the light that propels us toward what's next. So then we talk about navigating shifts between the signals. And I was thinking about that nudge because you don't have a lot of time between the signals.
No, and rest assured that someone's going to lean on their horn behind you after that light turns green.
Well, if you're ever in the car with our kids and
They'll
they're
be
in the
ones.
passenger seat, the light could have changed and they've already said, go. Like the millisecond that it changed.
Right. You don't move fast enough, the green light.
No, I don't. I don't move fast
And
enough
I
for them in
don't do
general.
it because of the idiots out there that run red light. I don't want to be the first one off the mark. I am never, ever in that much of a hurry.
So in life, when some show caution, which is the yellow, or others are ready to go, you need to explore a balanced approach. And sometimes a red light is an invitation to reassess your pace or your goals.
Correct.
And sometimes different paths call for compromise, to adapt, to realign, to stay open to the unexpected. And that can happen in any partnership. And importantly, you need to support each other at those crossroads. Balance ambition with patience and adjust as needed. Life is unpredictable.
That's an understatement.
The intersections of the red and the yellow and the green. So in our between over and next journeys, these signals don't always appear in order. Sometimes green turns yellow or red without warning. Sometimes life throws us a green light unexpectedly, and we're called to go, ready or not. Other times the red light stops us when we least expect it, giving us time to rethink our direction. So what's the message? Be open to the idea that a green, a red, or yellow light could signal that chance to pivot with courage. And it could lead you to a very rewarding new direction. And remember that life's best surprises often arise in unexpected transitions, propelling us toward our next steps. I'm going to encourage you to honor what's over, navigate the between, and step boldly into what's next. Because these moments, as familiar as traffic signals, become the key markers that guide us through the journey of life.
I think that the idea of the traffic light has so many interpretations for life, because sometimes the lights are timed so that you can go for a number of blocks before the light changes again, and then you need to stop. Sometimes life is like that. Sometimes you get lucky and you have a really good stretch of things working and going the way you want them to go.
I don't think everyone should rush so much. I think everyone should really be
Well, that's
mindful
true. I think
of
that's-
every single light. And from now on, when you're in front of a traffic light, I hope you think about Holli and Robert. I hope you think about between over and next. I hope you think about your personal and professional lives. I hope you think about that red, yellow, and green. We encourage you to say yes and go beyond your comfort zone, but be open to what's possible. And you have some time to think during those traffic lights
Yes.
with purpose
Yes.
and awareness.
And think about the people who've spent money purchasing space on that billboard that's right next to that traffic light that knows how many people are on their way to work and are getting stopped at that traffic light, possibly making them late, but still have made that investment to purchase billboard space
Listen, Robert.
next to that traffic light.
but we saw-
Take the time to look at it.
I have to share this right now because you mentioned a billboard, and I still cannot believe
The guy from yesterday.
we saw a billboard
Seth.
yesterday.
Was
I
that
don't-
his
I don't
name,
even-
think?
I don't know, but-
if you're going to spend money
If you're going to go
on
ahead.
marketing,
Yeah.
you must have a fairly easy way
To contact
for
you
people to complete that call to action. And
easily.
this particular person, and we were stopped at a light, I think, looking at it, dumbfounded that there wasn't even like a clear name of his company that we could even search for it. It was just this jumble of words.
There was no phone number. There was no website.
no QR code, no
There was no
social
really
handle,
company name that was
no
easily
town.
there. Oh my
I
goodness!
wish I took a picture of it,
Yeah.
only because that could be like, this is what you should not do if you rent billboards.
Proof what you do.
Whose responsibility is it? Is it the sign company
No,
to
it is not.
to say, hey, there's no B in cow? We've all seen misspelled signs, but whose responsibility is it? Anyway, this was a total waste of money.
So give some last words of wisdom regarding the traffic lights of our lives, Robert.
I think that we should always be prepared to act on a traffic light and trust your intuition as to when it might be right to accelerate through a yellow or to slow down and stop and wait for that red light to change so that you can get the green light to move on to your next destination. We encounter traffic lights every day of our lives. And much like the 35,000 or so decisions we make every day, there's quite a number of traffic lights that we encounter throughout our day, both literally and metaphorically. I hope that most of your traffic lights are timed accordingly, but don't sweat the traffic lights that you happen to catch that turn red, because take that as a moment to reflect and to look around at what's out the window and get ready for that light to turn green and hit the accelerator and move on to the next. Simple as that.
I love digging deeper about the meaning of between, over, and next. And I would love to hear from anyone listening or watching more about some of their between, over, and next moments, or something they'd like us to unpack and talk more about, because I do believe it is relatable and relevant and something to think about.
I agree. So thanks everyone for tuning in to Between, Over, Next. We certainly appreciate your listenership and viewership, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Between, Over, and Next. We hope you enjoyed this episode and found it meaningful and insightful.
If you value it to be worthwhile, please share it with your friends and family.
We would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to write a review for us. Your feedback will help us continue to create content that resonates with you.
And don't forget, in the show notes, you can find all the relevant links mentioned in this episode, from accessing free downloads to visiting our website and more.
If you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. Simply send us an email. Our email address is hello@hollyandrobert.com. We're always excited to connect with our listeners.
So until next time, thank you again for joining us on Between, Over, and Next.
Thank you for listening to Between, Over, and Next, the podcast that navigates the twists and turns of life with courage, laughter, and a whole lot of inspiration. Tune in every Tuesday to hang out with Holli and Robert on your favorite podcast platform. Visit hollyandrobert.com and follow them on social media to ignite your passion and fuel your dreams.